Ray Magliozzi here. I'd like to carry more parts, but I barely have room to think in my garage. Luckily, eBay Motors has all the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. Can't imagine stocking that many parts. Where would I get all those shelves? eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Everybody, everywhere. You punching the clock, you getting up with that pack. If you ready to go twerk something, you a bitch out there, listen. It's everybody who lock in. Who lock in to get that paper, you know what I'm saying? It's everybody, man. It's all us. We gonna do this together. Come on. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Say what?
Yes. So we are back. We are back again, man. This is season 3, episode 2, Chicken Talk Radio Live, man. You know how I say it, man. Mic check 1 2 1 2. You want to roll with Team Chicken Talks the Move. And tonight is a very special Friday, man. We got a very special guest, a legend in the game by no other source, man. Mr. Marcus Gentry. Mr. Marcus Gentry, man, introduce yourself to the world, man.
Yes, sir. I am here. Marcus Gentry, musically known as Marcus Gentry, as requested, and on the educational world known as Dr. Respect. Same thing, same person.
Yes, sir. Yes.
It's a pleasure to be able to be here. So thank you all for giving me an opportunity to spend some conversation, spend some time with you.
Man, thank you, man. We thank you more than anything for coming to Chicken Talk Radio Live and War Stories Radio Live and showing love, man. We got G-Man Rock here, man. G-Man Rock. We got Mr. Marcus Gentry. You're going to learn plenty about him. Mr. Marcus, this is the third host, and he's in the building right now, man. So everything is complete, man.
Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well, trying to move it straight ahead right here.
Glad to have you on the show.
Okay. So we're going to start it off very simple, man. Mr. Marcus, Mr. Marcus Gentry, I just want you to tell the world a little about yourself, like your background, the musical background, how everything got started. Yeah, just simple stuff, man. And we're going to go from there.
The simple beginning of how I got started musically, I guess it was things that I had nothing to do with initially, because it came from my roots. My grandfather on my father's side was an entertainer of sorts, and he played the piano. My mother and my grandmother on my mother's side, my mother sang, and my grandmother also was musical, and they sang together many, many years ago, obviously. And that was a part of the beginning. So there was an undertone of music in the house. It wasn't really pronounced like that, but there was kind of an undertone, and it was very subtly present, but there was a constant flow of musical background as I was coming up. So I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, East Coast area called Cherry Hill. That's where my original foundation is. And early on, we moved to Rhode Island, a little small place, Rhode Island, Woonsocket, Rhode Island. And so my first real introduction to music there was actually all white groups. So I wasn't familiar with a lot of other groups. So I heard groups like Paul Revere and the Raiders and the Animals and white groups like that. And when we moved to Providence, Rhode Island, I met a guy named Daryl Renfro. And he brought me an album with these guys on the cover that had on white suits, and they were the Temptations. And all of a sudden, I was introduced to a whole new world. I fell in love with the music of the Temptations, and I found myself in that music. The challenge for me was the gift. The gift was the challenge. So because I could do first tenor and I could also do the lower notes at that time, I didn't know who I was supposed to sound like. So I didn't know if I was supposed to sound like Eddie Kendricks of the Temptations or Melvin Franklin. whether I was supposed to sing in the middle and try to sing hard like a David Ruffin, or try to be softer like some of the other artists. So I struggled back and forth with that, trying to find my voice, my sound. And as time went on, I moved along. But I actually thought that everybody could sing. I didn't think there was anything unique or anything special about my voice until a little later. And I started discovering, wait a minute, maybe everybody can't do this. And maybe this is something special. So my gift was being able to fit in with different groups, a cappella groups, because I love a cappella singing. And I would go and watch um, a group that was called the Kings of Acapella here in Chicago, and that's a group called the Persuasions. And at that time, they were inviting people on the stage, and I would get up and sing along with them. But they had other people; it wasn't just me. They had other people getting up singing. But I loved the beauty of harmony. And so when I was involved in other smaller a cappella groups locally, I could fit in pretty much anywhere because I was doing different voices. But as time went on, I started leaning more towards the lower end of the register, the baritones and the basses, and that's where I really started finding my niche. So I worked as a solo artist for a while and did some music that way, and I met a gentleman by the name, as a matter of fact, one of the guys that was in my a cappella group. His name is Marvin Jr. Jr. He is the son of the lead singer of the legendary Dells. Fantastic voice and an outstanding person. And he knew that I sang and that we were friends and close. And he said, listen, I know a group that's looking for somebody to fill in one of the spots. So we were at, I think it was the birthday party of Herb Kent at a downtown hotel. Herb Kent was a very popular DJ here in the city of Chicago who recently passed. And we were at this party, and he brought a young man over to me. And the guy that he brought over, his name was Michael Thurman. And Mike was a member of this group called the Notations that made this very popular record, most popular back in the early 70s, called I'm Still Here. And he brought me over to where the Notations were sitting and introduced me to them. And that's when I met the actual founder of the group, which is Clifford Curry, and the other member there that was name is Bobby Thomas. And they said, yes, we're looking for somebody. They wanted me to come and they wanted to have a meeting and talk with me. Met, talked, did an audition for them, and I became a member of the group. And I stayed a member of that group, and we recorded, we toured, and we traveled and performed many locations, many places together. And I was with them for over 20 years, um, still doing solo things along the way. Um, and then I left, and when I left the group, I continued doing solo stuff, which is what I'm doing now. And they're still performing in different places themselves. And it was during that time, this is a part of the musical journey, and then I'll pause so you can say what you need to say. During the time I was at a particular performance, and there was a couple of guys that was in the audience. Uh, One of them's Chris Arnold, and the other one was Tunis Wilson. Tunis was a very popular model, and he also was very close with Eddie Kendricks of the Temptations. Um, and they said, listen, we are a part of the group called the Kendricks, and we're about to do a tour, and we need another voice. Would you be interested? So they came to me after I came off stage at this particular event, and I became a part of the Kendricks, and we performed a few times together, and that was outstanding. That group was made up of myself, one of the baddest bass singers I've ever come across, El Fago, it's his name. Chris Arnold was first tenor. David C. was second. Charles Blackman, a powerful lead singer, was the fifth party. And we performed, and that's at least a part of the journey. So I'll stop right there so I don't run on. You may have some things you want to ask or interject in between there. But that's kind of a snapshot. Obviously, there's a lot of details to that, but that's a snapshot of kind of what it looks like. It has looked like.
Yes, yes, sir, man. Actually, for real, I didn't mind if you kept going at all. Did not mind if you kept going because, to be honest with you, the story was so interesting. I felt like I was in the middle of watching a movie right now.
It's like a movie, so I can guarantee you that it's like
Yes,
a movie. There's a
but
lot of little stories that go along with that movie. You can believe that.
yes, sir. But before I'm gonna ask one more question, and then
Sure.
after that, I'm gonna let the other co-hosts ask their questions, man, because I'm sure they have a lot of stuff to ask you. But it's one other thing that I want to just jump right into before they ask their questions.
Of course.
So you had a interview with Emmett Till's mother and his cousin,
I did. I did.
and
Uh,
would you like to reiterate a little bit and like tell the people about it, like just to keep them informed because this is history that I think that everybody should learn.
are you kidding me? I would love to share that. So a part of what I do is entertainment, and that's what said as Marcus Gentry has requested. In the form of entertainment, I do theatrical productions as well. I do theater, some that I've created, and some I've been a part of other productions that are already out there. So one of the pieces that I put together, and I'll shorten this story to tell you that the piece came from a production that's called The Struggle Continues. And it moved into I Have a Dream, a King's Journey, which I perform to this day and beyond. This is a piece that chronicles the journey of Martin Luther King Jr. from his birth, um, January 15, 1928, until his assassination, April 4th, 1960. What's unique about this particular piece is that it just does not do his speeches, which is so common. But what I do is I take my audience on a roller coaster of the people and the events that surrounded his journey. Now, I've been doing this for over 25 years, this particular production. Um, and so the people that surrounded him, his parents' role in him becoming who he was, those who were his mentors at Morehouse College and Crozier Seminary and in Boston when he was at the university there. But a part of the things that happened during his journey that impacted his life and caused him to be the man that we came to know as Martin Luther King Jr. was the experience that happened in 1955 when the young 14-year-old who was originally from here in Chicago uh, was sent to spend time down south in Mississippi with his relatives. And that's what parents used to do some time ago. They used to send their children down south to stay connected with family. And his mother, Mamie Till Bradley, sent her son down there. So I tell that story of what happened in that whole piece. Well, as I've done this over 25 years, I've met different people who had um, a significant part in that story. One of them happened to be my barber. His name was Wheeler Parker. What I found out is that Wheeler Parker is the cousin of Emmett Till, and he was in the room. When the two men came in to kidnap young Emmett Till out of his home in 1955, out of Uncle Moses' home, Wheeler Parker was the first room that they came into with the flashlight and the gun looking for Emmett Till. So I had a chance to talk with Wheeler Parker time after time, and he shared the moments, the experiences, and what it was like. And over the year, so he told me that's his cousin. So he told me what that was like, and I interviewed him on one of my internet programs that I had at the time through a local college that was um, had internet shows. So I had an internet program there for a while, and I had a chance to talk with him. He introduced me to Emmett Till's mother, and I had a chance to talk with her, and she told me what it was like to have her son sent down and the relationship that she had with um, who was, I believe, Emmett's uncle, I believe. I'm not positive. I think it may have been Uncle Mose Wright who he stayed with when they came and took him out of the house. She told me what her relationship was like with him. Um, before the incident and what it was like after that incident. One of the things she shared that was kind of heartbreaking is that they never spoke again after that. Could you imagine how traumatic that had to have been for that family to have had a young child in your care and keeping, and two men come in and take them out of the house, and you don't know where that child is, and now you've got to communicate this to the mother. We don't know where your son is. And it wasn't him that called, it was his cousin that called Emmett's mother to can you imagine getting that phone call? And they couldn't find him for 3 days. And so anyway, so that was a part of it. And I talked to another one of the cousins who was around during that time, and I followed the story that surrounded that. And because I bore easily, I always am looking curiously at other details, pulling the layers back of the story, because most of the things that I share, and I have a Dream of King's Journey, are not things that you find in your typical history books. So the story of Emmett Till, the details that I share in that production are not pieces that you typically hear in your regular classroom, uh, public school, private school, or college or university. They just don't talk about this. So what I say, if you want to know the truth of our history, you have to be willing to dig through the mystery. And that's a process. That's a process of time. So yes. So I did have a chance to, besides the multiple interviews I had while I was sitting in this chair, getting my hair cut, I actually had him on my program. And that interview is on YouTube now. So you can actually catch part of that interview on YouTube. And I think it may be under the name Marcus Gentry and Wheeler Parker interview. So yeah, if you were to look on YouTube, you would find that. I may be able to see it while we're talking and give you the exact name that's there.
Okay, I'm sure the people would love to see that, and you know what I'm saying. It's educational, man. It's informative, and it's stuff that we all need to learn, man. And thank you for sharing that piece of history with us and letting us know, because sometimes it's best to hear from people that have experienced it or talk to people who have experienced it. But for my co-host, G-Man Rock, Ray Tracks, this is y'all turn, man. Y'all got any questions that y'all want to ask Mr. Marcus Gentry? Because this is going to be a great interview, and we got nothing but time left.
I actually have no questions. I'm just enjoying the story, getting the knowledge, and just getting a lot of understanding about certain things. I'm a history buff, so
oh, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
I'm definitely into trying to figure out who we are as a people here in this country. That's my main thing. And yeah, once you start down that rabbit hole, it gets ugly, man.
It is big. It is big. And that's something that you mentioned. Wanted to know who we are in this country. I've had different people ask me because of the work that I do. And by the way, I am looking at it on YouTube. It is called Marcus Gentry's Interview with Wheeler Park. If anybody wants to look at it.
Definitely gonna get that out for the whether those want to see it, hear it or not. Like I said, this is truth, this is history, and us as the people of the community, we gotta get out of that. They'll watch Love and Hip Hop and all the other stuff that smoke and mirrors and don't want to watch stuff like this. So we ain't tripping on if they want to see it or hear it. We gonna make sure on our end that it gets out.
Well,
my brother said, we big on, we need to know who we is on this land to go forward. And a lot of us don't. The 85% don't. The sheep, like they say.
I agree completely. I was just on an interview yesterday, and we were talking about the exact same thing because I talk about something, and believe it or not, all this is still related to music, and I'll tell you what the connection is. But I want to finish that thought. In one of the interviews I had recently, we were talking about education and the importance of education, and what I say when I talk about education, I like to talk about what I refer to as supreme education, which is not the kind of education that you can necessarily put on in a frame or hang on a wall. But supreme education, I believe, number one is a knowledge of self, knowing who you are. Because if you don't have a good sense of who you are, your own identity, outside of letters in front of or behind your name, or if you don't have a clear sense of what your values and principles are, you start to identify yourself with the money that you have, the jobs that you have, something material or tangible, as opposed to that's a that's a deep dive, and that's an inside job to really get to know who you are. The second part of supreme education, beyond knowledge of self, is knowing how to successfully feed, clothe, shelter, and protect yourself in any situation. Those are the people who are truly educated. Not necessarily, not speaking against other types of education, but when you are able to successfully know who you are outside of the stuff, um, even outside of the things that you do, you know who you are, and you know how to feed, clothe, shelter, and protect yourself. You're at an elevated level of the game. But I wanted to tell you the connection between this education and music. I was told that I could only do one or the other, and I have a love for both. I could only do music, or I could only do education. What I found out is that I was hearing that from people who could only do one or the other. I'm not one of those. And that's why knowing ourselves is so important, to know what we're capable of doing. And so I married the two. So many times when I do educational pieces, I'll add some theatrics into it, or I'll add some music into it to help bring
Mm.
home, because music has been the backdrop of our history anyway. And it's a way people learn and understand things. As a matter of fact, for many people, music is their education, and they will determine how they're going to operate based on what an artist said in a particular piece of music or in a particular lyric. So I add music to the educational part. Likewise, the music that I create now has meaning and substance. I'm not just creating music for people to dance or romance to, even though it's possible to do both to my music. Uh, but there's meaning and substance behind everything that I create in my music. So it ties in together. Even my clothing line, my merchandise is merchandise with meaning. So everything that I do is tied to uplifting. Because we rise ourselves by lifting others, and that's part of the principle. By.
Okay, okay. And you know what, man? Speaking of music, man, what we're gonna do it. We're gonna Mr. Huda LK, man. Shout out to World Stories Radio Live. We're gonna break into two tracks from Mr. Marcus Gentry back to back. And we're gonna let you know exactly what he's saying to y'all, man, and check out the style, man, because you know what, man? If it weren't for cats like him, cats like me wouldn't be here. So like I always say, man, hit him with them hot tracks, Huda, man, and we out. Let's go.
I've got a dream for the world, peace in the rivers and everywhere, bridges of steel and love, and cities that smile, yeah. Gray empty faces walk by, and try to hide all the loneliness, lighting their cigarettes to blow time away, yeah. Lost in the noise, lonely as wind, people on sidewalks with no place to go. Can they learn to understand the world of love I'm dreaming? I'm dreaming. I've got a dream for the world. Kites flying home sky, corners where children play and run in the rain. I've got a sack full of dreams, streets filled with laughter and toy balloons, people with hearts that care, who listen for love, wanting to sing, wanting to care, wanting to share all my dreams for the world. Will they learn to understand the world of love that I'm dreaming? The world of love that I'm dreaming. Wanting to sing, wanting to care, wanting to share all my dreams for the world. Will they learn to understand the world of love that I'm dreaming? This is my sack full of dreams, the world that I am dreaming. I've got a dream for the world. This is my dream. The world of love that I'm dreaming. I am dreaming. Oh, I am dreaming. This is my sack full of dreams. Are you dreaming? Will they learn? Are you the world that I am dreaming? Oh, I am dreaming. That a day I've got a dream. Will they learn? Will they learn? For the world. Oh, I am dreaming. The world I am dreaming. Dreaming is my dream with me today. Oh, I am dreaming. Dreaming. Won't you dream with me? Oh, I am dreaming.
Listening to the sound of the rain on my window pane. Feelings inside of me I cannot explain. Having these thoughts of you is all I do because of the whispers in the rain. Memories calling my name is just like whispers in the rain, taking me down memory lane. Walking down the street, I see your face in strangers I meet. Even when I'm talking on the phone or all alone, waves of emotion Whispers in the rain, memories calling my name. Is just like whispers in the rain, taking me down, memory lane.
Yes, y'all. We are back once again, man. I hope y'all enjoyed all the music y'all just listened to, man. But Mr. Marcus, man, give us a breakdown of what was the inspiration of making these songs that the world just heard, and where can they find these songs at, and where can they find more?
Absolutely. So, all the music can be found. My music right now can be found on all the platforms: Amazon, Spotify, iTunes. They're there. They're in those places. They can go to any of those and pull up my name, and the music will be there. Also, GentryExclusives.com is a link tree to my music as well as my merchandise. So the first song that I believe was heard was Sack Full of Dream, which is not my original. It's a cover song that I did, and I have to think of the original artist. But I did get a chance to, when I got permission to do a cover of the song, speak with the daughter of one of the writers of the song Sack Full of Dreams. So the song was brought to my attention. We stepped here in Chicago, and a stepping friend of mine shared that tune to me that I was familiar with and suggested that maybe I do it, do a cover of it, and therefore I did a cover of the song. And so when I spoke to the daughter of one of the writers, she was telling me about her father who helped write that song, and she was saying how that he uh, uh, committed suicide at a younger age. And I don't remember the age that she said he was when that happened. The tragedy is that her brother also committed suicide at that same age sometime later. That was a sad piece about that piece, Sack Full of Dreams. But the song itself is about dreaming and hope. And I've got a dream for the world, peace in the rivers and everywhere. And it's about hoping that things will get better. That song just speaks to what you hear everybody else saying every day as we go into the year of 2022. Man, I sure hope things get better and we can. They use the language getting back to normal. That's not necessarily the language I use, but they talk about things being better and getting to a peaceful place where people can connect and laugh and children can play. And that's what the song is about. Um, a sack full of dreams. And it's an older song, so there has always been a desire and a wish for things to get better. And I wanted to cover that song because not only was the groove so nice and mellow, um, uh, the writers put something beautiful together, and they echo my feelings and the feelings of many of a peaceful and a better time. I've got a dream for the world, sack full of dreams. Beautiful thing. And I've got my dear sister Tasha Simpson, doing the backgrounds on that. And she is such a gem to work with. Which brings me to the song Whispers in the Rain. Tasha Sampson created the music specifically for that. And there is something so powerful, because I've had different people that I've worked with, but there is something powerful, and I'll almost say magical, when you work with somebody who actually enjoys you and celebrates your gifts and talents and has the skill to bring out the best. So she wanted to have music that was specifically made for me. So she created the track of Whispers in the Rain. I did all the lyrics, and another great young producer, Day underscore, and Tasha did the backgrounds. And if you listen, or any of the listeners on your station listen to the backgrounds, it is unique and special. You will not hear that kind of background and harmonies complementing your average songs today. It's very uniquely done, and you have to really listen close to hear the intricacies that went behind it. So the lyrics of Whispers in the Rain came in part because of an experience that I had in 2020, July. The it was triggered. It was actually triggered in 2012 when I lost my mother. It was reignited in July 3rd of 2020 when I lost my father. Something unique happens when you lose both your parents. That's a whole show in itself. But it's what happened after that. And I thought of all the people who've had experiences where they've lost someone, either in death or lost them in a relationship, and they're no longer in a relationship with that person who meant something special to them. And all of a sudden, they're walking down the street and they see somebody that looks just like them, and it takes them down memory lane. And that's what the song is like: whispers in the rain, calling my name, taking me down memory lane. And that's what it's like: whispers in the rain. Or all of a sudden, you hear a song and you just start, crying, or you smell something, and it takes you back. Oh man, I remember this girl used to wear this, or this guy used to wear that, or this is what my mother used to make home. It smelled like this, and all of a sudden, a chill in the air reminds you of a moment that you had with somebody who was important in your life, and those memories come to you like whispers in the rain, not shouting, not hollering, but just a quick whisper. Remember me. And that's what that song is about: whispers in the rain, calling my name. That's what it's like when those memories come. And all of us have that because we've had people in our lives who mean something to us that for whatever reason we're not together anymore. For whatever reason. But sometimes something will come up and will trigger that. And that's what that song is about. So every song that I have has significance in that way to something. And that's again, that's a snapshot of each of those songs. Sack Full of Dreams and Whispers Rain that was accompanied by dear powerful sister Tasha Sampson, who happens to be my vocal coach as well, and Day underscore young producer out in Vegas does phenomenal work.
Yes. And shout out Miss Tasha. Shout out Miss Tasha, man. Great work. Shout out everybody that period has been helping this journey. Because to be honest with you, this has been an amazing interview, and we've still got questions from Ray and everything coming, man. But this interview so far has been great, excellent. I love to have you again, Mr. Marcus, whenever.
My pleasure.
Man, Ray, I know you got some questions.
And I know y'all know me be, but like I told y'all before, this one of them things where it's not about it's about Mr. Marcus tonight, and I'm just as silent and getting game and learning because it's all the same, man. Me, a more experienced, older, been through a lot more things than me. So I'm game. I'm a sponge right now.
I appreciate it. Can I share one other thing that I think is
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Is critical even to what's happening right now. I've been involved in different units that have put bands and performances together. It wasn't always everybody was really together. So this one particular show I was working on, the keyboard player who happened to be create the music for Sack Full of Dreams. So he played the music. Phenomenal keyboard player. Died not too long after. Continues on. His name is Ronnie Tyson. Phenomenal keyboard player, and he did the music for that. Well, when he left one of the rehearsals, we had a rehearsal for a show that I did. So one of my performances, because I create what's called entertainment products. So I told you about I Have a Dream of King's journey. Musically, I have a piece because I told you I discovered my voice and my strength in the baritone range. So I have a show that I call Tribute to the Baritones, where I give tribute to the shoulders that I stand on and that many of us stand on musically in terms of, so you hear tributes to tenors and three tenors and three more of the ones that musicians together for me at the time. His name is Roger Weaver, and he put these musicians together. So we were at our very first pull. He made us said, "This is what it looks like when people celebrate each other," and that alone did it for me. Um, because I realized I was in environments where everybody wasn't celebrating each other. There was more competition than celebration of somebody else's gift and talent. And I learned, especially after he coined it so well, to connect with people who are comfortable enough in their own skin through their own self-discovery. As I call the boys who do my background, when we get together, everybody's celebrating everybody. So what we bring to the stage is magical. What we bring to our studio sessions when Day and Tasha and I get together, it's untouchable. Everybody walks away feeling good. We enjoy time. The time just gets away from us because you lose track of it. We've reached our passion. We're in our zone, and just a beautiful thing brings us to this moment. What I'm getting is each one of you are celebrating each other's gift and talent. And even as you bring guests in, you allow that guest to be recognized and celebrated because all of us in the end want to be seen, heard, and valued. We want to believe that we're seen, we want to feel that we're heard, and we want to feel that what we do has value. And you all do that, and I so appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you,
You
thank
most
you.
welcome.
And we
Yes, yes, you
definitely
most welcome,
appreciate
man.
that. And everything you just said right there, like I said, I'm spiritual. You, the universal one, and y'all just specifically talking with me, cause I feel like that sometimes. You know what I mean? And I celebrate everybody. You know what I mean? But just for whatever reasons, it's like you said, you and it's like, man, like you said, like what's up with you? Like
Yes.
we gotta bring this specialness to the forefront.
Yeah.
And then you hate being in those situations.
It's
Like
true.
it
You do.
don't make no sense.
I think it's great as I get older and as we all get older, as we mature, not just age, but as we mature, we start because everybody who gets old doesn't necessarily mature. But as we mature, we start to be able to discover early on when this is a relationship we need to disengage from. That's not healthy, where there's not that celebration as opposed to having been in it for weeks, months, in something that's toxic as well as personally. But as we get more mature, as we grow in our maturity, we can recognize them a little early. It doesn't take as long as it used to take to see this is not a good connection for us. And sometimes it might mean we need to pull back out of it. Let them have that. If that's where they are, let them have that. We don't have to force people to change. We can lead by example. And sometimes leading means leaving.
Man, you talking straight to me for my co-host. No, damn, this is powerful right here. This is a great
That's a
information.
word. That's a word, bro. I've been saying kind of the same thing. It's a word, man. That's a word, man.
Yeah,
It's a
this is
word.
gonna be
Yes,
a leading year for me, unfortunately, because I rather like how I rather have the celebration. Like I
Yeah.
said, my bro right,
Everything. Yeah.
it sucks, and it was like how you said, all right, I got to for a little bit, I got to go lead,
Yeah.
but
And,
it sucks because it's like,
and,
man,
and,
it's more strength in numbers. I'm sorry.
and no, I was just supporting what you're saying, and just I discovered in leaving, we have to leave and try to stay healthy, and leave not just physically, but leave mentally. Sometimes you can leave physically and still keep rehashing the old stuff, or hoping and wishing. And I had to watch myself, so I'm not guilty of doing this because I've had time where I've that was not healthy. And I was almost hoping that something bad would happen to them so they could see that it was wrong. but that's not a healthy path
Yeah.
for anybody to continue on. So when we leave, we have to really leave it really where it is and place it with something else. Because if you leave and leave a vacuum, brain just doesn't work that way. It's gonna go back to what was there. So leaving it and then replacing it with healthy experiences, healthy relationships, and realizing they may not happen overnight, but it will happen over time if we're patient. And that's what success is. It's not overnight, it's over time. If we are patient on the path and we're persistent.
Man.
Yes, sir, man.
Said this. That's what I said. That's why I'm quiet tonight, because you just
Mhm.
taking it to a level.
What you can say, man, this is $1 billion worth of game. Not a million, but $1 billion worth of game. Something that I need to hear, Ray need to hear, Huda, G-Man Rock, the whole world, everybody's streaming right now.
It's the
Shout out
word,
to
man.
Radio and
It's
everybody.
the word, bro.
Well, I appreciate
Question, quick thing, man, before this interview ends, Mr. Marcus, I'd like you to share your social media where they can find you, some inspiring words you might have to tell just everybody that's in the same field or trying to do something positive to uplift themselves and get out of their situation. Just man, let them know, man, because I believe this is going to be something life changing to everybody.
Wow. Well, there's so much that I can say. Well, as far as how to contact me, of course, through you all, you will would have access. So I don't want to interrupt that process. But MarcusGentry.com is my website. Gentry Exclusives .com is my link tree in the music. You can Google me. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. I'm not as active on Instagram. I'm not as active on tweeting real often. I'm probably more active through Facebook and LinkedIn. Um, but I'm in on all those places. Um, as far as what a positive word is, there's so many words that I can share about that. There is something I think that is good when you're looking to go forward. If you want to create success, I describe it this way as kind of saying you have to have what I call grit. And when I say grit, that means actually that inside work of something from the inside. You have to have tenacity. That's something you can't read in a book or watch from a video. You get that from the inside. You have to be able to sit with yourself. But it also expands into something else. So each one of the letters I can use to help drive the point of grit home. So the first thing is be clear about what your goal is. Um, in thinking about that goal, you have to be very specific about what you want it to look like. What is the goal of this show? What is the goal of your music? The goal of the music, the intention. Um, what is that true target that you're going after? What are the consequences if you don't go after it? It's part of your goal. So if I don't reach this goal, what is it going to be like for me? If you're not clear about the consequences, then you may not go at it with the kind veracity that you might need to do that. And then second, is this something you're passionate about? Um, if you're not really passionate about what you're going after, and I would tell you that the majority of people are not, they're going through the motions. You the average person or 70% of the population, they're going through the motions, going to jobs they don't want to be at, doing things that they're really not interested in, not passionate about. They're just going through the motion. Only 10% of the deal closers, problem solvers, and decision makers, those who can see the light at the end of the tunnel, know how to stay focused in the midst of distraction. That's 10% of the population. So you have to be clear of whether it's something you're passionate about. Do you have a strong plan for going forward? Just get better is not a successful plan. Plan is never Hope has never been a successful strategy for military or business. You have to make a plan and be willing to do that plan. Then you've got to be willing to put in the necessary work. All this is a part of just setting that goal. Are you willing to put in the work that's necessary? Because as I said before, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over time. So are you willing to? You want things to work out? You got to be willing to put some work in. Are you really willing to roll up your that, or do you just want to complain about the way things are or the way things have been? People use a very common phrase now. Well, it just is what it is. Um, and what I say, usually it is what it is because you did what you did many times. It's not just happens to be that way, but it is what it is because you made certain decisions. Yeah, we all have the power to choose. We have the power of choice. We were given that. What we were not given is decision making skills. So some of us make bad choices because our decision making skills is off. So all that's critical in just the goal part. The next part of the grit has to do with the reason. Reason is just simply the purpose. So you've got to have a strong reason why you want to reach that goal. Why do you want to make this record? Why do you want to collaborate with this producer? Um, why do you want to create this production? Why do you want to do whatever it is? Why do you want to be in this relationship? Because if your reason is weak, if someone asks you what your reason is, and I like to take people to what I call the fifth level of inquiry, where you go 5 levels deep in asking the question, what is the reason why you really want to do this? If that reason is weak, trying to figure out you don't really know why, then when it gets a little rough and tough to stay in the game, to be persistent, you won't do it because your reason is weak. I could spend more time on that, but I won't. The next one under the grit is the I. Understand the things that might interrupt with your process. What are the things, uh, the people, places, and things that can interrupt? Are you doing things that can interrupt you reaching the goal that you want? Whether that's things in your diet, things that you hang around, people that you're around, places that you go. What are the things that could possibly interrupt the process of where you're going? The last one I'll say is the tools. You want to make sure that's the T. Just make sure that you have the tools that's necessary. Because I can want to build a house all day long. I can have a goal of building a house. I can have a reason why I want to build a house. I can know what can interrupt me from building a house. But if I don't have the tools to build a house, none of that's going to come together. So I have to have the tools uh, to reach that goal. Maybe it's education. Maybe it's association. Maybe I need to connect with some different people because we tend to become like the people we spend our time around. So who do we spend our time around to be um, where we are? And so that's kind of what grit is. And I'll just end all of that by a piece that Benjamin Elijah Mays um, is credited for having said some time ago. And it just simply goes like this. He says, I only have a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it. I didn't seek it, I didn't choose it. But it is up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give count if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but all eternity is wrapped up in it. It's not my saying. That's Benjamin Mays. And the point is maximize the moments that you have because tomorrow's not guaranteed. And I want to thank you all for allowing me to.
Not, and this ain't all.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, that's why I believe in treasuring the moments because we only have a minute to be here. That's it. It's a heartbeat. It's a heart.
For the interview or none of that. Just just building.
Look forward to bringing you back for part two of
Definitely.
it very
I
soon, man.
forward to. Thank you guys so much, man. Much respect to you all, to everything that you're doing and the lives that you're touching, because I can't come close to relating what we've talked about in your own language. The more you know, the more you owe. We just keep passing it on.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah.
So you know what, man? This is another show. And we was here live with Mr. Marcus Gentry, man. Like I said, a legend. And if you
Yeah.
want to catch us from now on, it's every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone, 5 p.m. West Coast. Make sure you come see us, man. It's Chicken Talk Radio Live. Everybody be blessed. Enjoy your 2022. Stay COVID free, man. Trust yourself. Trust the process, man. And guess what? We out. God bless all of y'all.
Peacock, streaming the biggest sporting events, exclusive originals, and the latest movies. This February, we've got Super Bowl 56, the 2022 Winter Olympics, and the Peacock original Bel Air. Plus the new movie Marry Me in theaters and streaming Valentine's Day. Sign up now at peacocktv.com.
Valentine's Day is almost here, and you know what that means. It's time to make her blush with fresh blooms and gifts from ProFlowers. This year, go to proflowers.com to use code CRUSH15 to get 15% off through February 14th on all the best blooms and gifts. See website for details.